It was supposed to be a dream trip, the kind you plan for and think about all your working life. A year's holiday in Europe, travelling everywhere in a cosy double-decker bus that becomes your home away from home. The tour is designed for the older tourist who craves a bit of adventure, yet still needs to travel cheaply. And as the brochures suggest, you'll be in the safe and considerate hands of a small, personalised tourist agency. 8 elderly Australians set out on that dream, but soon found themselves trapped in a double-decker nightmare. Back in the 60s, this was a new Sydney double-decker bus ploughing the La Perouse to railway run. Ticket prices then were a few cents. Today, ticket prices have gone through the roof. $10,250 for a 50-week dream holiday through Europe.
Before I left, I bought an exercise book which I was going to use as a diary, and on the front of it I wrote 50 weeks adventure by bus. And after the first week I crossed out adventure and printed in great big letters nightmare.
9 months ago it began its European odyssey in England from a trucking yard surrounded by rubbish. Home movie film shows our 8 happy adventurers setting off after answering this newspaper advertisement.
And when we went on board, we were just stunned. We were in a state of shock. We couldn't believe that anything could be quite so ghastly.
The organisers, Boris and Jennifer Tunin, and their 48-year-old son, David. And in case we were in any doubt, we were soon to get our own taste of Tunin treatment.
You want this through the middle of that camera? Get lost.
We're very
Mr.
sorry.
Tunin, is this the way you operate? Is this the way you do your business normally?
I don't have to talk to you or anybody else.
Boris stood up and yelled at all of us, "You're nothing but scum. The whole lot of you are just dirty, filthy scum." We were made to feel so dreadful. I thought, look, nothing's worth this. Enough's enough, and I'm just getting off. And I did.
With 4 months of her holiday still to go, 64-year-old Thalia Sliger walked off the bus in disgust and returned to the peace of her home in Sydney's Blue Mountains. The day you did get off the bus, you kissed your money goodbye.
Well, I'd got past thinking about that. I thought, no, I just can't hack any more of this. And also, because I felt with all this aggression, there was going to be a tragic accident. So I just left.
60 minutes took Thalia back to Europe to track down the bus and its passengers. 2 accidents and many breakdowns later, they were stumbling their way through Switzerland. Our first close-up look at the bus had to be in secret from a camper van parked nearby. What happens with things like washing your hair, for instance?
Well, the most popular places were, among others, were under bridges, and we'd use buckets to get the water out of the river, and washing in a toilet facility early in the morning, usually in cold water. Most of the time it was in hand basins in public toilets.
What is the sense in all this as far as the organisers are concerned? Why stop in places like this?
I just don't know. I cannot fathom it. The only thing that we kept saying all the time, that they were doing this, we think, to get us all off the bus.
Unknown to the Tunins, we tailed the bus for a week and spoke to the passengers at secret rendezvous along the way.
So every morning we got up thinking, today it's going to start. And it never did. We just felt that we were going to begin this adventure of a lifetime, this holiday, every morning. And every morning we were disappointed.
Night time at yet another lonely car park.
We gave you a final warning before about this stupidity that you went on with before. You were off the bus as far as we were concerned.
What you're hearing is a conversation recorded secretly inside the bus. When the passengers ask Boris Tunin about plans for the next day, this is his response.
You're no longer customers. You've got no right.
We still have that right.
You've got no right.
You've got our money, therefore
Now
we've
go
got
away.
rights.
It's no
Yeah, that's
dictatorship, Boris. We have
Boris,
rights.
Oh, go away. We should have put you off long ago
On what
for what
grounds?
you've done.
On what
Right,
grounds?
what have we
Oh,
done?
what grounds? What?
If you believe the brochures, and 8 passengers did, then this holiday offered heaven on wheels. Graceful living, leisurely pace, friendly crew. The bus would become, quote, a friendly haven you will call home, unquote. Well, that's how the sales pitch went. The contract signed by each passenger told a different story. The organisers, and only the organisers, would decide where and when the bus went and how long it'd stay in any given place. The organisers would not reimburse the passengers for any time that the bus was unable to travel, and the passengers could be thrown off the bus for any number of reasons, including smoking, not only on the bus, but anywhere off the bus. They could also be thrown off, believe it or not, for playing cards on the bus. And finally, the contract relieved the organisers of any responsibility for inaccuracies in this glowing, glossy brochure. The transport for this holiday, organised by a so-called non-profit-making organisation, would be the Big Green Bus, which, as far as we can tell, hasn't been registered since 1974.
I know it is.
Well,
We can't. We need a license.
We haven't got any lights. We haven't had lights.
You've had plenty of time.
We had
You
lights
had
last
nothing.
night.
had lights last night.
I did not, under any circumstances, guarantee or give you any undertaking that you would have lights, right?
Oh, come on. now.
Come on, that's a safety issue. You have to have lights.
And even when the bus is moving, it doesn't stay on the road for long.
If and when I go down to Boris and I ask him, are we going to do such and such? His answer straight off is no, or don't argue, or don't ask questions. And one of his great things is if you ask him, are we going to go this way? He'll tell you that it's his prerogative to get lost.
Well, we've raced through Rome and raced through Venice, and we didn't see anything of Athens hardly. And then we had to tear through Yugoslavia because of the police were after us.
Mr. Tunin. Since the Tunins refused to answer their passengers' questions, we decided to ask a few of our own. David is on the right, and Boris is in the red jumper.
Hi. How's the tour going? How's the tour going?
Beautiful.
Is it? Beautiful.
Yeah, lovely. Why?
Well, we've heard some rather serious complaints about the way that you're conducting the tour.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Can you understand why we would have heard some complaints about it?
We're conducting this tour according to a contract, and these people are in breach of contract.
How are these people in breach of contract?
They've, anyway, that would be a matter for other things to decide, but in that case, well...
Well, have you decided, for instance, that your passengers are worthy of having lights?
This has nothing to do with it. I would not be prepared to conduct the matter any further on this issue.
Well, lights. Do you think that's an unreasonable thing, Mr. Tunin? Lights? I mean...
You want this through the middle of that camera? Get lost.
From this point on, it became obvious that the Tunins regarded themselves as answerable to no one.
You might have to talk to Consumer Affairs, sir.
No, I don't.
Oh, well, you may do, may I say? You may do. They're very interested.
I may do, and they may be interested, but nevertheless, I do not have to talk to you.
Those comments we did manage to get from the Tunins about specific passenger complaints were interesting, to say the least.
I did not contract to provide heating.
You did not contract to provide heating?
No.
So in sub-zero temperatures, you're paying passengers are freezing. Is that reasonable?
No, that's not big because the cooking going most of the time. In any case, I'm not conducting
this... Is that reasonable, Mr. Tunin?
I'm not conducting this interview with you on the basis that this is a legal matter, and if it's to be settled that way, it will be done that way. So, as far as I'm concerned, finish.
Are you prepared to answer the questions that Consumer Affairs have to ask you about?
I'll answer anything they prefer to ask me, but it will be in accordance with that contract.
Do you think it's reasonable to let your passengers know where they're going?
Get lost.
Do you think it's reasonable to provide them with information about where they're going, Mr. Tunin?
We could talk this out quite reasonably without any fighting.
But despite the father's assurances, at no stage did he agree to discuss things any more reasonably than this.
This is a legal matter and it is not to be decided by you. Right? Now get lost.
Jana Bent.
Right.
You are out of court.
What about it?
Mrs. Tunin even joined in the fray.
I don't have to
We
answer
have
you.
stopped for 6 months at camps with every facility.
I think your
We
passengers
have
might
stopped-
not agree with that.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway.
And the Tunans were no more welcoming to their old passenger than they were to us. One of the ladies who left your tour because it was so successful.
Hello, Boris. You promised that we'd be on television one day. I don't know what you're frightened of.
Mr. Tunan,
I
you like to
come out
would you like to speak to one of your passengers, your happy passengers?
I beg your pardon?
Then came the Tunans' response to their remaining passengers.
Well, he kicked me and he pushed Audrey out.
Oh, let me talk to this man. Yep.
There's nobody on board, David.
There's Mr. David for you.
Mr. Ward,
There's David.
are you having problems?
Well, I've just been pushed out the door. He put his foot up to push me out.
You've been pushed out of the bus.
And he pushed Audrey out. We were trying to get out, but we got pushed. We certainly got helped out.
You're paying passengers.
Well, we were frightened because we'd seen David in this sort of a mood before.
With David Tunan at the wheel, the big green bus took off on a wild drive. When the Tunans finally returned to pick up their paying passengers, there were no apologies.
I don't care if you people do like to creep out of the bushes. I said, I don't care if you do like to creep out of the bushes. Is that clear enough? You deaf?
Mr. Tunan, is it standard practice to call your paying passengers words like scum and bastards?
That is a statement that you made. I don't recognise it.
You've never called them that?
I don't recognise it.
What does that mean? Does it mean
I
you've
don't
never called
recognise
them
what
that?
you said.
Do you know the word scum and bastard, and have you ever used them to your paying passengers?
I have not.
Is
No.
that so?
That's so. I have not. Now, are you coming or not?
If we're leaving, we'll come.
Yeah, we're leaving, right? Come on. Now.
Not tomorrow. Well, you ain't got notified, David.
No.
We'll just come back.
The bus drove into the night, and the next day we found it, not surprisingly, at another truck stop. Once again, via our hidden microphone, we hear passenger Hilton Ward asking Boris Tunan what the day holds.
Where are we going, Boris?
More people over here.
Here in Switzerland or over in France?
Don't tell me you can't read the contract and you can't read a map. All right.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't see you, so don't ask me questions.
We're entitled to ask you questions, Boris.
You're not entitled to
Your
anything.
position is one of non persona gratis, right? You go and find out what that means if you like. If you can't read.
You're that bloody illiterate.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, do it.
Okay. Why not?
Speak
Because
to you or
with
even
all
look at
that you've done, you're off the bus, technically.
Not quite the response we got when we asked the same question. Told your passengers where they're going today?
I don't wish to answer any of your questions. On the grounds that there's a court case pending, so the point is we don't wish to answer you any.
What court case is pending
It doesn't
over the
matter
operations
about
of this
that.
bus?
It doesn't matter. That's the point. Is this
And day two with the Tunans also brought some personal abuse.
You've aged a lot since we saw you last.
Oh, we all do,
Yeah,
Mr. Tunan, that's
well,
life.
you have.
That's life. That's because
You
I have this kind
that's
of
not
job.
life with you. It's your job that has done that.
I'm sure it is.
Character assassinator. Extraordinary for Australia.
So fascinated to watch how we empty our toilet. It will be a delightful experience for them and good for them. Hear that? Good.
Watch out, we
Don't stand too close because you might wear some of it.
Every day we were with them, the Tunans put on quite a performance for our camera. But while the Tunans were polishing up their act, the passengers catalogued the disasters along the way, including 2 months of breakdowns.
ice and snow.
Below zero, well.
No heating, no lights upstairs.
But in those conditions we asked, could we come down and share the warmth? And we got a flat no, flat refusal.
We feel that they wished that by this stage of the tour we would all have left and they'd be on their own to do what they like, wandering around Europe. Whether or not that is true, I don't know. But we suspect that, so that's all the more reason for us to stay around.
When Thalia Sliger tried a second time to talk to Boris Tunin, he answered her in the way he knows best.
No, but listen.
I'll go away.
I can't understand why you won't want to talk, because I'm not being nasty about the thing, but can't you understand now why I left the bus?
I know.
Are you interested, Mr. Tunin, at all?
I'm terminally mental. Yes, you've told me that already, and you've just repeated it. So that's very interesting.
What was that, terminally mental?
Terminally mental. I was told that the day before I decided to leave the bus.
Is that so?
Apparently.
A little bit too much Valium, that's why
That's
you
what
left.
I was...
A little bit too much Valium was, I think, what Mr. Tunin said then. Do you have any regrets about having left the tour?
No, I don't. I just couldn't stand it. And especially too, I'm glad I came back for my friend's sake. But since I've seen these people again, it's brought the whole horror back to me again.
If you were wondering why anyone would treat people the way the Tunins do, this is their final excuse.
Yeah, and they walk in on the beach, walk out again, and they sit in the bus drinking all the time.
He called us all a lot of drunkards too, again, at breakfast.
Half
He
of the
said
course.
no one but drunkards would giggle the way you do, and David chipped in then too and said, no, you giggle for 2 hours.
Berthas, do you think it'd be a fair description to say you've been had?
Oh, well and truly had. Taken for a ride, I'd say. Literally in every other way.
A very long ride in a big green bus.
A very long ride in a big green bus.
And for 60 minutes, one last goodbye.
Go and, suck a lemon, will you?
We're on a road to nowhere.
Hello, I'm Liz Hayes. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9 Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.